Welcome back to the So There I Was podcast. I'm your host again, Travis Womack. Today's special guest is Kaelin. Kat is a 10-year Army vet,
Hmm.
and
Yes,
she's
10.
joining us from down south in good old Georgia. So, Kat, welcome to the show, and we look forward to hearing what you have to say.
Thank you so much for having me, Travis. I appreciate it. So just now that you've pressed play,
Yeah,
everything gets weird, right?
it is super awkward. So, what do we do with
No,
our hands?
I know, right? No, that was one of the things like whenever I did podcasts before, it's like just remember it's gonna get weird once they start recording, but I don't. It's fine. If we can just have a normal conversation, I'm down for that.
That's how I
But
like
no,
to do
I appreciate you having me on, and it's been a minute. Like I haven't been on a show for a while. Like it's weird. It's funny because it's like you go on with your life and then you connect like how we have just from somebody putting something out there that you did in the military and it just like resurfaces
it.
everything.
Yeah,
But it's like yesterday, man. Like I
yeah,
think about it and I'm like, God, like Afghanistan was 2011, 2012. It's 2024, and I feel like I just got home like last week.
yeah.
It's crazy.
It
So no,
never
I'm
goes
just
away.
no, good and bad. But no,
Let's
I'm really excited to talk to you.
let's just start kind of just a little bit on kind of what your career was the 10 years, 2011, 2012 is a long time ago for in Army years. When did you
Yeah.
join?
So I joined in 2005. I was one of those National Guard split option.
Oh yeah, I know him well.
Yeah, so I was like I was a track stud in high school, and that was like my junior year, but I had a very like I guess you could say unguided upbringing. So I knew like I knew I was smart. I knew I had the athleticism, but it was like I don't know what to do with this. So um I remember some girl, I wasn't even friends with her. She's like, "I'm joining the National Guard." And I was like, "Why?" And she goes, "Well, I'm gonna have school paid for and I can go do all these things." And I'm like, that's like more information than any school counselor or my parents ever gave me. So, and then on top of it, she's like, "And if I be a truck driver, then I get $10,000." And I'm like, "Yes."
Sign me up. Let's go. You had me at
So,
10.
yeah, and know it like my naive self of just like, oh, I could do that, and a truck driver, like that job is like right here in my hometown. So
Right.
aside from all of the possibilities or to reach my full potential, I joined as a truck driver. No shame in that game. And I went to basic training in the summer between my junior and senior year.
Yep.
Came home, graduated, and was given you'll go to your advanced training during the summer and then you'll be on your way to college that fall. Well, that's not how it worked out. I actually went to my AIT from August to October, so I missed the deadline for school. And then I my unit that I was assigned to actually deployed to Iraq in July of that year. So they were there in July. I went to training. And then when I got back, they're like, "Hey, they need more people over there. Do you want to go?" And I had a scholarship to run track in Nebraska. And I remember just thinking, go to college or do I go support this unit? And I was like, well, I'll go to Iraq. College can wait. And so I joined up with them. That I actually deployed on my birthday
Oh, wow.
um, in January. Yeah, I had just turned 19 and I was in Iraq the week later. So uh, it's never, I think many people's stories are never what the recruiter says they're going to be.
Right.
But yeah, so I was in Iraq from January to September, and then came back, did some more transportation unit stuff, went into transition to I started working full time for the recruiting center and became the interstate transfer coordinator,
Okay.
and worked in recruiting for a few years as cadre at the RSP. So we got to train recruits before they went to basic training, which was really fun. I actually really like the mentor aspect of that. And then one of my really good friends to this day, she sent me, I met her in recruiter school, and she sent me this email that she received from her state. She's from Wisconsin, talking about the CST program. And I had never heard of it. What's interesting about it is that it was a nationwide, both reserve and active duty volunteer like effort.
Hmm.
And my state never released it.
Oh wow.
So because they didn't want anybody to go. And I'm like, well, I'm freaking going, So um fortunately I had a really good civilian mentor who helped me navigate the paper trail that needed to be involved with that whole
Oh
thing.
yeah.
And yeah, I got the email from her in like February and put in my application, had the interview, and was at Fort Bragg, Fort Liberty now, in March, and got selected to be a part of the program. So I know that a
March.
lot of
What year was that?
so that was 11.
March. Okay.
Yeah. So I know that's very vague.
No,
Um
no, no, no.
very
That makes sense. So CST, for those who don't know what it means.
so that's a cultural support team.
Yeah.
It was created off of the FET teams, the female engagement teams that
Hmm.
or the Lioness, I believe. They the concept was the same, but the difference was that we were going to be assigned to special operations
Hmm.
to go out on the mission set was to either be assigned to direct action missions or special forces, the more living amongst the people,
Yeah.
hearts and minds mission set.
Yeah.
So yeah, so I got selected to I was so initially the program was CST1, I guess you could say, was a combination of females from, I believe, Fort Hood at the time that just were like cherry picked and were like, hey, you're going to go support these units. And it was a complete flop. Like, yes, there were women there that did a really good job. But they needed to create like a program that was more,
Sustain it.
yeah, and it had like a flow and protocol, a
Yeah.
standard operating procedure,
Right. Crazy
so they,
idea.
yeah, like, oh, okay, like these women aren't qualified, we shouldn't put them out there, so let's put them through selection. Which the selection was like a combination of like civil affairs and SF, uh, what they called like the 100 hours of hell, which I
It's a good name.
and it
That's a
was.
really good name. I like that.
Yeah. It was pretty, I mean, we were out there like it was very much like SF, like how does it, like, you don't know the time, you don't know anything, just be
You're just scared
here.
of dry race sports everywhere you go.
Oh my gosh, yes, check the whiteboard. Did you check the whiteboard? That was like, run everywhere and check the
I was in
whiteboard.
the key course in 2003, so I still dread dry race sports to this day.
Oh my gosh. Yeah. Like if you're on fire guard, check the whiteboard. If you're
Yeah.
not on fire guard, it was
Yeah.
just make sure your pack is the right amount of, I mean, it's interesting though, because the uncertainty and you are constantly being assessed, like the whole thing.
Yeah.
Um, you can see how it really gets to people,
Oh yeah, the
So,
anxiety takes you over.
and it's
Like,
interesting because, that really like came out with a lot of my peers. And I just like looking at these people, I'm like, you guys are supposed to be like top notch and are just crumbling.
yeah.
But I guess they weed those people out.
Just the point
Um,
of it.
right, yeah. But I do have to say, that is the point of it, but there's also we need numbers. So they were letting everybody fly
You gotta
through.
balance it a little bit. It's a weird
Yeah.
teeter-totter.
But I was really actually fortunate, even like with my group that I was with was CST2,
Yeah.
and which essentially was CST1. But it was still in the pilot phase of
Yeah.
them creating what they needed to do. So we did the selection process, and then we went through, I think it was about 5 or 6 weeks of the actual course where they're we went to JFK and learned all of the like cultural aspect, got a little bit of language, got a little bit of like hand-to-hand combat, weapons training, the like basic
Yeah.
training, I guess, aspect. And then at the end of it is when they had brought in whether they're I guess how it was described to me is they put everybody out on the table and then selected um 20 to go support um joint special operations, so like direct
Yeah.
action, SEALs, Delta, Ranger Regiment, and then the remaining 40 would go support SF. So I feel very fortunate to have been selected to go support direct action mission Ranger
Yeah.
Regiment or 75th. And um, yeah, it was even though it was very much in its infancy stages, I feel that it working with them was like there's just quality dudes there.
Oh
And
yeah.
there's the ones that are not and the ones that are,
Well,
but
people are
they're
people at the end of the day, but the
yeah.
overarching, you have dudes that are like-minded of like, we're going to go kick indoors and blow some stuff up.
Yeah, and not I mean that's a cool aspect of it, but
Yeah.
just as far as like caliber of people,
Hmm.
I feel very fortunate to have worked in that capacity. Um, so to kind of backtrack a little bit, my story of getting there is not the like I was very like I'm a very motivated person, alpha, very like the leadership roles, hold myself to a very high standard, just that type of mentality. But um, so my friend, when she sent out the recruitment letter or the email, and it was like, we want some like high speed females to go and do this mission, and I'm like, oh, okay, yeah. She's like, this is like right up your alley, Kat. Like this is just like how you
Hmm.
are. And in my mind, I was like, that the concept of that was cool. Like I'm like, yeah, this is right up my alley. But so to give kind of some context, because my reason of going was a little different. So when I was in Iraq, I was raped twice. I know this is like a shotgun right to the face, but
It's okay. And that's
yeah.
funny that, but sorry.
Like just like
Yeah.
I've been through a lot of like my own growth, and I always have to remind myself like not everybody can take you saying that so bluntly
Yeah.
with ease.
Yeah.
So I apologize to
That was
the
good.
listeners and to you. But no, so I was assaulted twice, raped twice when I was in Iraq, by a fellow service member. And when I part of the recruitment letter for the CST program had said that you I wish I had a part of it. It was like you will be working primarily with men.
Right.
And my goal at the time, I'm talking about Cat circa 2010, 2011, was my driving force was like out of anger and spite. And they say like when I've talked to people who've experienced like assault or sexual assault, it's not so much the act of it. Like, yes, there's the act of it that is like horrifying, but there's also just the like how I fit in that piece, so
Hmm.
I like I said, like I hold myself to a high standard. I feel like I am a ethically and morally sound person. And the thing that got me the most about that whole situation was that I had found myself in that situation, right? So whatever had happened in that situation, like I had placed myself there. And this is like mindset then. So I struggled with that. I struggled with like putting myself in a vulnerable position to be taken advantage of. And it's really interesting, kind of veering. I'm like all over the place now, but I'm veering a little bit with the fight or flight aspect of
Right.
how people respond. Um, I'm 5'10". I have a very like people like very like authoritative stance
Gotcha.
structure. Yes.
Yeah.
And I don't I take pride in people kind of looking to me as a person of strength for them, not just like as a like a comforter or nurturer, but just in a physical sense as well. And I've always considered myself to be much stronger than the average female.
Hmm.
And so finding myself in a position to where my initial traumatic, my initial response to this traumatic event was to freeze and dissociate. And that was one of the things that to this day, even I have such a struggle with because I I power through
Hmm.
and I find myself like if I it's like the you hear like people say like if I'm going to be the type that's running into danger and I
Right.
like like I'm the one that's a hard charger and you're never going to do this and this to me. But what's so interesting about the brain is that you can have this intellectual understanding of how you are going to respond, but when it comes down to like absolute fear and your brain's ability to protect the whole organ,
Hmm.
you have no control over that.
Right.
So in that instant, I completely froze, which is now like a considering factor into like the fear response, fight, flight, freeze. There's a few other ones that
Yeah.
they've added on,
They're
but
all F's.
yeah, right, all the F's. But I froze and I completely dissociated during the situation. And I, the struggle I had was like, why the fuck did I do that? Can I swear on here?
Sure.
Yeah,
I'll put
okay.
the E on there. It doesn't bother me.
Okay.
It's a
Um,
podcast. There's no rules.
right. There's a, there's one rule. No. I was like, why? How, like, are you kidding me, Kat? Like, I just remember like this cycle of just like, this is not you. Like what I don't it's just it was so confusing and damaging for a long time because I just, it completely just warped my sense of myself,
Hmm.
I guess you could say. So anyway, so moving back to the recruitment letter that had said that you are going to be working primarily among like large groups of men and you need to be able to handle yourself appropriately. And I'm like, this is what I need. For me, like being in the mental health mindset, even then, like I've always been a huge mental health advocate. This is even before my education and my career. But um, I had been through therapies, I had been through different medications, and I'm like, this is what I need. I need to be put back in a situation to where I'm never going to be taken advantage of again.
Yeah.
So I was hoping going into it, hoping that I'm like, this is perfect. I'm surrounded by all these dudes. Something's going to come up and I'm just going to be able to like go to town on them. Like
Right.
wasn't able to before. So I had for my own, like, I came to this mission with a mindset of like retribution. Like I'm going to come out of this like better. Like I'm going to be able to validate myself that I'm never going to be able to go through that again. So, um, and the reality of the situation was that I I was when I like at the beginning of and I get like emotional about it because it's
Yeah.
like when I say like the caliber of men that I worked with was like is what healed me.
Yeah.
I got to Afghanistan with 20 other women. We were scattered across the AO. I ended up down in CAF with two other CSTs, and the amount of, I would say, like professional care and attention that the platoon and just the people that mentored us and helped us get to where we needed to be. Because ultimately, like it was a pilot program. We were given a bunch of education and information that, yes, you had a nice master class in this, but it really wasn't relevant to what we were doing. Um, but these guys, like they legitimately were like, were they took care of us.
Yeah.
They took care of our well-being. They asked about our families. They actually I remember this is the silliest thing, but one of the most profound moments in my life, and I think people it's very small, but I think on the grand scheme of things, it's huge. But we're conditioned in the military to walk a certain way, dress a certain way, behave a certain way. Um, it's part of the game,
Oh yeah.
it's what you need to do to create
And
a
it never goes
soldier.
away.
No, but I remember when I got there, we had all of our equipment, but we weren't able to put it together until we got there. And one of the squad leaders was helping us set up our kit, and we're like, do you have like a format or some sort of like diagram to where we're supposed to put our pouches? Because that's what we're used to. We're like,
Right.
you put this pouch here, even if it sucks and it's not helpful, you still put it on there.
Right.
And he looked at me and he's like, do you plan on throwing grenades out there? I was like, no, we're not giving any. And he's like, well, then you don't need those fucking pouches. So he said what came out was like, you
Bring what you
put your
need.
kit together, yeah, so that you are efficient on target, so that you can move right, so that you have what you need that makes sense for you. And for me, it was like, huh, like that makes so much sense,
Yeah.
like I need to be, it's not about towing the line to check the boxes of like this person, my whole platoon, they all wore, like in Iraq, I just remember us having to wear um the damn angel wings and the neck and
Oh yeah.
all the shit,
The
and it's
DAPS.
you're right, yeah, and I understand the concept behind it, but it wasn't like, a lot of it didn't make sense, and it didn't, but they had to check the box, so they made you do the shit, right?
Yeah.
So it's like
Liability.
yes, and that was like with working with those guys, it was like, huh, yeah, no, you do what makes sense. Like you're given these tools and you use what you're given. Um, hopefully with you being like a mature individual and common sense to go out and achieve the mission so
Yeah.
you don't become a liability. And there's so much at stake with these missions, is that
Oh yeah.
like these guys, it's there's the fun and the goofy aspect of working in that realm, which I really appreciate, and it ties into like my personality as well. But when I say like I going back to like my reason of going over there was to kind of validate myself again. Like I was I went in with a chip on my shoulder because I remember like they're like, why are you such an asshole? Like, you know what I mean? Like, what are you like, why are you such an
What are you
like I
trying to
didn't want
prove?
right. And that was
Right.
the thing. It was like it came across as me trying to prove something, but at the end, like, unfortunately, I was given this human to human like understanding. And it sounds so fluff. Like I hate to say it, but there was like the connection that I found working within these units, like the brotherhood was is what healed me
Yeah.
essentially. Like I could take my experience and look at it for what it was and understand that that was a bad person. You know what
Yeah.
I mean? And that I responded in this way because that's what my brain and body needed me to do to survive.
Yeah.
And and the interesting aspect, like it's what's crazy is that my first firefight that I ever went into, my my fear response was completely different,
Hmm.
or
Oh
my
yeah.
and it is very like that I'm very analytical. I analyze a lot. So I'm like, oh, look at what happened when you were your personal safety, as in like in that moment, personal safety being knowing that you are about to be extremely violated. Um, how your body responds to protect itself in in regard to coming out of the bird, shit's just going down and I'm like, what the
Yeah.
fuck is happening? And response is different, right?
Oh yeah.
So it was really like that aspect of it was really interesting to me. um yeah, so funny story with that. When I was in, this was one of the things that I actually I liked about the training in the CSC program, is that they brought in the SOSEP people, the Special Operations Excellence Performance piece, where they do like a
It's
very
nice.
individualistic, yeah, like they do like all of your personality, like
Oh, I
things you
know
need to
them well.
work on. Yeah, and they teach you, the thing that was really cool is that they teach you how to respond appropriately in life and death situations, so in the face of
Hmm.
fear, but how to go back to like a homeostatic
Hmm.
state. And, I'm sure, like they put you through a bunch of like to mimic the fear state, physical obstacles to increase the heart rate, tunnel vision, like all the components that come along with fear, but train you or to condition you to lower your heart rate, come back to like a more neutral mindset so that you continue on, right? So running through all of the obstacle courses, and then they hook you to the little monitor, and then you're not able to go on to the next obstacle until your heart rate goes into that green zone, right?
Right.
And the really cool thing too is like they taught us that if you associate a word or phrase while you are essentially calming yourself back to a neutral state, your brain will associate that phrase with you calming yourself down and increase your time frame of becoming more aware. So what they had taught us was that with the obstacle course was like, you need to get in the green zone. So you need to go green, go green, go green. They kept harping on that. So for me, it was really insane. Like going through that obstacle, and then like I remember just rehearsing that in my brain, like go green, to like was my heart rate's going down, my breath is becoming more intact, and then putting that into action, right? So that first firefight that I got into, like I said, we were coming off the bird, like shit is like where I'm at the very end with the headquarters unit, so it's just like the RTO, the platoon sergeant, platoon
Right.
leader, or not platoon sergeant, PL. We're all, and the medics and stuff are all coming out last, and everybody's just like going like in the midst of chaos, which is really incredible to see too, because time, it does everything like slows
Slows
down,
down.
but you're seeing how everybody like maneuvers so fluidly, and like I had been in combat like in Iraq, but not like this type of
Yeah,
combat.
it's a
Like
whole
I was in
different
a drug.
ballgame.
Yeah. So coming out, I was like, what the fuck is going on? Everyone's on the radio. And I remember coming off the ramp and my legs went to like straight jello. And I'm like in my brain, I'm like, what the fuck are you doing, Kat? Like, I'm like, you gotta go, And I'm like, I'm looking around and there's like lights flashing and bullets are flying and shit. And I'm like, oh, go green, go green. And the craziest shit, and I tell people this, like, I've taught it in leadership classes, I try to teach it to students, whatnot, because it's so profound. Is that when I said that, it was like, I felt like I was like Mario, where I just ate the mushroom and I was like, do, 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 do. Yeah. And I just took off, man.
And you
Like,
probably sang the song in your head.
yeah, right. Do 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 do. No, like I like took off, and I'm like, this is fucking crazy, So like I finally like I get to where I need to be, and I'm in this like cool like yoga state, like just everything is like doing what it's supposed to. Like I'm following what's on, like no chaos, like there's no sense of crisis or anything. And I just remember like that is, if I learned anything about like how much the brain is like the tool it is, and
Hmm.
how the
Powerful.
physiological response, yes, how powerful, like when you can, given the right tools, especially in circumstances like that, um it's insane, like it's
Yeah.
so insane. And uh yeah, so I was talking about like the fear response aspect of
For
it.
positive and negative though, like the will to go
Yes,
and the will to stop is.
yes, yeah, condition, yes, there is. And that's, I think, it's interesting you say that, because I've had a few other peers of mine just recently that we was talking about the same situation, and it's the need to push through
Hmm.
now, even after the fact, is no longer necessary, but we still find ourselves needing to do that push.
Yeah.
Um, but no, it was very, working with those guys. Now I'm not gonna say like all like every, like you said, you have a few bad nuts in the whole candy bar sometimes, but like it was really a very like enlightening experience. I feel like I got a very full circle understanding of what it's like to be a female in that capacity.
Yeah.
um like I said, I definitely got to experience the brotherhood and was accepted in that,
Yeah.
as far as in some, with some platoons. In some other platoons, I was not. Very much different personalities with different battalions. Um, yeah, we had transitioned into, there's a lot of mix up. So I actually went from we had a bunch of injuries, and then, everything's fluctuating and changing all the time.
Oh
So
yeah.
I ended up moving up to Shaw and working with some platoons up there, and a Delta troop, and it was like even working with those, it's community and culture so
Whole
crazy
different breed
different.
here. Yeah.
Oh, it's nuts.
They're
And
awesome
it
guys.
oh yeah, and you can look within, like, the how, and I appreciate that, like when I say like the caliber of men, like the ones that make it there or that choose to go there and make it there are like they're destined for that. You know what I
Oh
mean? Like
yeah.
you can pick them out from like the minute they are in basic training.
Yeah.
It's just a quality of person.
Yeah.
And
Even ones that try,
yeah,
that's the thing is the selection right there is super small. You
yes,
know.
yeah. And that's the thing, is like they're wanting that potential. And I think they like you find that through the given the opportunity and the knowledge on how to
Oh yeah.
navigate getting from like joining the military into special operations, and then like how to move up into different units. Um,
We were in direct support of them in '06 when I was in Iraq, and there
oh
was a,
wow.
there was a 3-man team that like live with us, and we're just a normal airborne infantry unit, not on the SOC side of things. And I remember very well. We got in a what's one firefight, and we watched this guy. He said, "Call him Damien." We're like, "That's not your name." He's like, "No, but you can call me Damien." We're like, "That's cool," you know.
You're
And
like, oh.
but like we get in this fight, and like 20 of us are watching him. We're like, "Damn, he's good." Like, oh crap, we gotta shoot back.
Yeah.
Like we all had that little moment of like, he's a whole nother level. Like
You're
this
like,
dude's
it's the moth to the light. You're like, I want to
it
be
really
like
was
that.
like it was like
Yeah.
I mean like we've been in we got in a whole lot of fights that
Hmm.
deployment, but like watching him, I never forget that one where we're all shooting and like we all pause. We're like, is he walking and shooting at the same time? We don't. Oh crap! We got to provide cover, or
Yeah.
something. And it was just the most like surreal moment of like this is happening right now, and like
Oh my gosh, I totally know
and but
that.
we get back from that mission, and he came to our platoon. I was in the scout platoon. I'll never forget. He said, "Hey, y'all come with me." Took our whole platoon. There was like 27 of us to the range. And he's like, "Y'all don't hold your weapon right," and he devoted the next 3 hours, and we fired thousands of bullets at this
Hmm.
range. And it was like, y'all need to change how y'all do reflexive fire. It's like y'all are good, but like if you do this one thing, you can all be better. And all of us got better. I'm like, this dude just took 3 hours of his downtime to make us better. And then his other guys were going around our battalion and like they were taking every single platoon they could to the range to do 1 on 20 training, and devoting all their time to make all of us better. And I was like,
Yeah.
that's awesome. And
That's it though, man. That's what I'm talking about. Is like you have these type of people that genuinely, and I found like majority that the troop that I worked with CAG, like those guys, like exactly what you're talking about. Like they take the time. And I found a lot of people like that working in regiment too, that it's like those are the caliber of people that are not there for themselves.
right.
There for the betterment of their team and
Yeah.
their subordinates. And they, at the end of the day, yes, mission success, but they want you to fucking go home,
Yeah.
you know, both like physically and mentally, they
Yeah.
want you to go home.
It's funny, because I think that it's you talk about influence, and
Mhm.
change. And it's like I look back on that deployment for me, and there's the effect 3 guys had on 700 paratroopers.
Yeah,
It's like we did 19 battalion air assault missions,
that's
and
crazy,
which is
man.
a lot of helicopters as usual.
Yeah.
you know. And I remember we're doing these op order and these rock drills and everything, and like you have the whole battalion in this massive freaking sand table we had built, and they're going, all the PLs are doing their little talking and stuff, and privates are like, I don't know, phase line 1 and 2, what the crap is going on, like I'm 18 years old,
Yep.
but they go through all that, and I'll never forget, we left our very first op order, and everybody walks out like, man, this is gonna be effing crazy, oh my god, and we look over in the distance, and off in this little open patch of our little compound are those 3 guys, and they're doing like sitting, they're like side by side, and they're all doing like a little air squat, like they're pretending to ride in a helicopter. Like they're doing a walkthrough rehearsal of the entire thing that we just talked about. And like they like flew around and they all took a knee and then they moved over here and they moved, they're like, it's in the desert. There's nothing there.
Yeah, yeah,
But
yeah.
they just literally did a complete walkthrough rehearsal of the entire mission. And we're like, oh, we should probably do that too. And
Why are we doing
literally the
that?
next day, without anybody giving an order to do it, everybody was doing it because we saw them
Yeah.
do it. And so after all of our operators from there on, the next 18 missions, like we everybody leave and we all whatever chalk you were in, you all go out there. And we're doing you see our whole unit doing air
Mhm.
squats out in the desert. And then people on Camp Spiker were like, what the hell are they doing?
Oh,
You
it's
know,
the
because
simplicity of it.
yeah, but it
It's the
worked,
simplicity.
you know.
Yeah. And that's the
And
thing is like they break it down to like the very basic of like the human condition,
yeah,
right? So instead of just like throwing like you need to do this and do this and do this, it's like, okay, no, this is the expectation of what we want you to do, but we're going to guide you like full blown, not just speak it, but actually do it.
do it
The
right.
the walk or the crawl, walk, run method, like we will put you through that.
I call it the learn to teach. I prefer that
Yeah. Yeah,
because it
yeah.
is same thing. I gotta ask a question before I forget.
Sure.
So I like to ask all the guests this in some manner, at least maybe a different version. Is male, female, combat arms, support, doesn't matter. I don't care. It's all you, you change schools in junior high, doesn't matter.
Right.
Right?
Yeah,
There's a
right.
moment when you arrive and you're the new person,
Yeah.
right? And everybody kind of has this like aha moment of like, okay, I was the new person. I was like, oh, this sucks, until I went to lunch in junior high or until I got to go to
Yep.
basketball practice or whatever it was. I know for me, I showed up at 1325 after the invasion of Iraq. I was the only dude in all of Bravo Company that did not have a CIB. So I was like, oh, this is like episode 3 of freaking Band of Brothers, the replacements. I am not
Yep.
liked. So, but like, luckily for me, like 2 weeks in, we went to the range, and I've been shooting competitively since I was a kid. So I was like, this is what I do, and I
Watch
earned
me work.
right, and I earned a lot of respect when I outshot like dang near everybody. And
Yeah.
so for me, it's like, hey, I'm a part of I've made it into the acceptance realm, right?
Mhm.
So I would love to know kind of when you arrived, boots on the ground, Afghanistan in 11, kind of like you had
Man, it was
a lot of things that like I have to prove myself because I'm in this program, I'm a female, and all of that aside, because I'm sure that's a whole different discussion for another podcast. But like, what was your I've been accepted.
oh, it's but see that's the crazy thing. That was the exhausting part of it. Because during my time when I was there, I worked with 175 in CAF, transitioned to 275 in CAF, uh, transitioned to 275 in Sharana, transitioned to working with a Delta troop in Sharana, 375, one platoon in Sharana, and then 175 again. So
Wow.
over the span of 9 months, you're talking about this aha moment of acceptance
Over and over and over again.
over and over and over
Yeah.
and over again. And the crazy thing is that that's the culture of the platoon and the battalion and the people is so it's so imperative to integrating, right? So um I would have to say, like a lot of that, it's really I learned one is that you're not wanting to lose yourself in the mix of it, but you're wanting to assimilate, right? So you
Yeah.
want to be a part of the team. And that's the crazy part of it is that so initially when and I'm getting really analytical with this, but you're working in like the hierarchy of the platoons as well. So you have like needing to get in with or needing to essentially prove yourself or have that aha moment of acceptance with
Leadership.
the leadership, um, the guys on the ground, like the platoon
Oh yeah.
itself, the different squads. You have like I know that I am not the first squad to go out. Like I'm not
Right.
essentially like I am in support,
I'm not the
you know.
breacher.
No, right? I'm
Right.
not I was given the opportunity to see how that works, which is great,
Yeah.
but I'm not the breacher, you know? Like
Right.
I'm not the sniper. I'm not in mortars. Like I am a CST and I'm working in this capacity here. But it's such a broad question because not only do you have that aha moment out on target, but you also have to have that aha moment when you're just hanging around the guys
Yeah.
and the jock or the
Personality
talk.
and yeah,
Yeah. So
intelligence.
yeah, so I would have to say that it's kind of crazy because you have that connection of how you perform on target. And I find that I think there's a lot of grace, fortunately, in with working with, and you would think that there wouldn't be, especially with the risk of what's happening. But there is a lot of grace as far as silly mistakes that happen.
Hmm.
And when I say mistakes, I talk about like uniform
Dropped a
malfunction.
magazine. I mean, it's yeah,
Yeah, like
it's
my we weren't given cry uniforms until like a month or two into the deployment. So I was wearing my duty uniform out on target, looked like a jackass. Like I had the knee pads that wouldn't fit on my knees that slide down.
oh
Like
yeah.
we had just garbage equipment until they actually fitted us appropriately. Which after that, I was like, God, this is amazing. You know, like this equipment actually
That's
works.
why everybody loves this place so much.
Right? Like I want to be
They
in
have
here all
H
the
case.
time.
They have gas
Right.
pistons. It's not fair.
Right? Like, but with in all right. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like they need for the mission. Like it's that's
Oh
another
yeah.
story. But so yeah, like I feel like I was able to when working it's different too with the dynamics of like my aha moment when I was in and this is it was right at the beginning, like when my guard started to, like my whole asshole facade started to lighten a little bit, was that I found like when we first got we Ashley and I, my partner that was actually killed with the Rangers, we got to CAF. We flew from BAF to CAF. And when we got there, like we had so much equipment. Like I had probably like four duffel bags just full of bullshit, like just
Yeah.
stuff that just didn't matter. And when we got there, you know, we had been conditioned during this whole process of like, these dudes hate you. Like we were told that, like, they don't want women out there. You're a fucking liability. You like they've been doing the same job without you for this amount of time. Like that you're not needed. They hate you. So when we got to CAF and we came on and they unloaded all of our doubles, like threw them on the ground and stuff, there was this, he must have been like a PFC or something. He came to pick us up in the little white Toyota, you know, and he started loading our duffel bags into the truck. And Ashley, like we were getting our stuff too, but we're like, what the fuck is he doing? Like, why
Yeah.
is he helping us? You know what I mean? Like, we're the enemy, you know?
Yeah.
So that was kind of like the start of the aha, like acceptance thing. It's like,
Yeah.
no, like I started to learn that as long as you're not a liability on target and you do your job right and you can take a fucking
For
joke.
anybody. For anybody.
Yes, yes. It's standard across the board,
Yeah.
right? So like,
I had plenty of guys and dudes. I'm like, okay, if we get shot at, can you just hide in the trunk and just don't come out until we're done? Like, cause you
right,
like
right.
it's like terrifying, you know. And I mean, I'll tell you not to cut you off.
No,
This
please.
dude, literally, I was I had to escort our battalion commander. I was on the PSD for a little while, and he's in this meeting with a bunch of a bunch of Iraqis, and all of our trucks are outside, and so I was bouncing back and forth to make sure all the guys are going. I go to one of these this dude's truck, and he's on his freaking cell phone,
Yeah.
like a local cell phone. I'm like, what are you doing? So I'm just talking to some dude, some kid. I'm like home or oh no, he's a local. I'm like, I'm going to murder you right
How
now.
are you not putting two and two
Like,
together?
are you freaking serious?
Like
And he's like, oh yeah,
escalation of
like
force, jackass.
when did you meet this kid? He's like, oh he lives right over there. I'm like, oh my God. I'm. It took every ounce of restraint that I
Yeah.
had to not drive my buttstock through his skull, you know.
Yeah.
And I took his phone and full Article 15 to motivate him. He's an E1 eating rice, and I was like, you will never go out with me ever again. I will probably murder you.
Yeah,
This
before
was
you get
always,
somebody else murdered.
yeah. I was like, good God, you're a moron. Like, how did you, so totally get it.
But you have that type like that you find that even in like these units that are vetting people,
Yeah.
like you can go through a selection process and play the part perfectly.
Yeah. Still be
But
an
at the
idiot.
end, yeah, but at the end of the day, and that's the great thing
Yeah.
about, well, you had done it too. You had mitigated this problem and made sure that he wasn't a liability
Yeah.
anymore. And that was one of the things that they had told us too, is like, hey, the moment that you are a liability, you will be removed.
Yeah.
And it happened.
Oh, yeah.
Like we had when you
And the Ranger Bat's notorious for it. Tearing off the skull
yeah,
in public and like, you're done.
they'll send you.
Like,
We had some females that were sent home. Like, so when I say like 20 of us were selected to go and support the mission, um, and 13 of us came home.
yeah.
So we had the gamut of injuries, which I think that is a critical
Lesson learned.
component. Well, it's a component too of like you said, yes, it's a lesson learned as far as like developing
Yeah.
like new people into those type of units, but
Oh, yeah.
also like and I say this lightly because it's individually based, but the biological differences
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
between men and women too. Um, but no, there was a female as well that was fooling around with some seal, and it's the craziest shit. It was they it came out to light, unfortunately, because of after Ashley's death, and she got freaking, you know,
Yeah.
kicked all the way back to the States. And like they don't mess around. There's no room for that shit over
Yeah.
there.
Yeah.
So
Don't have it.
so
I,
yeah.
I
Oh,
got quite a
go
psychology
ahead.
question since you're on that exact topic.
Sure.
So I'll give you a little context and then I'll let you talk for a bit. So I the psychology of having a female in a combat environment, not just any work, but combat specifically, or heavy lifting, or you can be working in a warehouse, it doesn't really matter. There's the I say the chivalrous side of men, right?
Mhm.
And to care. So in '06, we had a counterintelligence op was with us, and she was very attractive. She was about 5'4". She was very short, but she could crush a lot of guys in a lot of physical things. I mean, lifting was obviously not her strong suit, but she could run and she could carry weight, um, and she could fight if she needed to. But there was a lot of times where I was like, if it goes down and she screams "ouch," how many of us will turn? You know, and just because we're men, and if most of us are from the South, so you're doubling down on on
Mhm.
mindset. So I would like to know your thoughts on kind of, did you feel that, or how did you mitigate that, or what, just in general. Does that make sense?
Yes, yeah, absolutely. I read what you're writing down. So I feel that is a possibility. I think it's it's very individually based.
Hmm.
I know that when we integrated into the platoons, many of us, and I'm speaking just from my group, I'm not like from my CST group or my CST experience. Um, and they're so different for everybody else. So I this is my own testimony, but I feel that um there is this little sister
Yeah,
protective factor. Um,
it's better phrased.
I think that I th- I think that that is a possibility. Absolutely. I think that ultimately at the end of the day, when you find yourself in a situation like that, you I'm trying to think of like a scenario. For example, okay, so if we're on target and something goes down, and the concept that we often hear is like there's two dudes and one chick, who is the person going to go help type of thing.
Right.
um I, I'd hope that your training as an individual kicks in and
Goes for all three.
you triage, yeah, you triage appropriately, right?
Right.
You do what you're trained to do. Um, and I think that that's one of the things so that I see I come from a very like preventative mindset.
Hmm.
Um, and I believe that that's one of the things that needs to be discussed and talked about and incorporated into training
Hmm.
as far as let's look at you as an individual, Travis, and see how you respond in this scenario without even you knowing the context of it. So it would be
Hmm.
interesting to like, and I'm
Oh
not
yeah.
trying to deviate, but like
No, no.
put you in a situation to where you have a female and this is like me being analytical, a female that's been in your platoon for a while that is one of the guys, one of the people, one of your
Yeah.
people, right? So there's not this like she's a piece of shit, I'm never gonna help her out, or
Right.
he's a piece of shit. So like putting you in a scenario where there's the three people that find themselves in a situation where you like them all equally, or there's
Yeah,
like
right.
the
What's the control? Yeah.
yes, right. So um putting like tests in place so that you can understand that component of yourself, right?
Yeah.
Um, but in reality, I always like to bring the reality
Self-awareness.
pieces. Yeah, but in the reality aspect of it, um, that isn't something we do. You
Yeah.
know, this is something I think that people need to do a self inventory of.
Army
Um,
doesn't have time or resources for that.
right. But I do one of the like psychological components of it too. I know just from my experience. So after Ashley's death, meeting people who so I worked with Ashley and her platoon that she was assigned to in CAF before I moved up to Shaw. So I knew the guys and I knew and her and I were very close. And talking with some of the guys after the fact, and I actually met the team, the the HVAC team that oh my gosh, I'm losing my you're bringing up emotion, so I'm starting to go
The
blank.
evac team.
The evac team, yeah,
Yeah.
sorry, that worked on her, going back to Kandahar and speaking with them, and they had said that we like this is our job. Like we go and we pick these guys up and we work on them and we bring them back, um, and nothing has. I don't know if it was just Ashley herself. I don't know if it was the fact that she was a woman. I don't know if it was just all the circumstances in that moment. But they had said there has been testimony of like her death and in that regard had impacted them more severely than a lot of their other
Dudes.
experiences.
Yeah.
And that's something that you need to consider, right? That's something that we need to consider as a force of if you're going to be putting
Women.
people in this capacity that women in this work capacity that test our cultural norms, then we need to be aware of how that's
Yeah.
going to impact us. So I did
It's a
like
great
to
point.
answer
I've
your
never thought
question.
about that. That's you're the first person that's ever said anything along those lines. Everyone always leads into the front part of that, but no one's ever, I've never heard anybody talk about the loss because like, golly, my brain just exploded. I'm sorry. Like I'm serious. Like I that's profound because I've been through a lot of loss and I know that affects me. But like the idea of losing the loss of a close female, like a sister idea, is it golly those MOSs don't do well with failure, and I would the psychology of that is crazy because that's what it would feel like. It's like you can lose a friend in a fight, you can lose a dude, you can get hit with an IED, get shot, and it's like, damn it, like that's just honestly, you train to that point where you think it's just luck on the bad guy side. Like you got lucky, one of your 8,000 bullets happened to hit us, you know, and but like if yeah, that would. the sense of failure would be almost overwhelming. I can totally.
it's it's interesting too to look at it on our like the female side, right? Because I feel like from like how you said like looking at the loss of your friend, like that's your brother, you know, like that's
Yeah.
it's a different it's a more it's like a like you said like a there's like a an associated anger, like a very much like I revenge, I you know like I this isn't fair
Right.
type of like loss I'm trying to describe. And I
Yeah.
feel
Yeah.
like that's the same as like how we feel as far as like losing our female peer, Ashley,
Yeah.
in my aspect. But have the same sense of feeling of loss of like I feel like the men that died as well, there is this there's a different perspective, I think, as far as like a female male brain perspective on dealing with this loss. Whereas you looking at the anger side of a man losing a male comrade and then a male soldier or whatever losing a female comrade, that it is it's a deep sadness.
Oh yeah.
Like it touches a different like a sensitive
Oh, it's a
part of a
different nerve,
man,
completely different nerve. Yeah.
especially in regard to how that person was associated with you, you know. And you look at the whole picture too, like you have one female with shit
30, 40
20,
kids. Yeah.
yeah, and it does it hits differently,
Yeah.
um because there's the anomaly that is
Yeah.
like she's that's different, that's
Yeah.
something special
Well, you're
that is
rare.
to you, yes,
I mean,
right,
I mean,
yeah.
but
It
I
can
mean,
feel weird, but it's true,
but
yes.
it's rare in the numbers, but it's also you don't of all the females in the world, not a lot of them are like, you know what, I want to do obstacle courses, jump out of a plane, kick indoors, and blow some stuff up. It's a
Right,
rare like trait,
yes, yeah.
and so like it's like holy crap, she does exist. They do exist,
But that's to kind of, I don't want to change gears, but that's one of the things that's really interesting now is that you have, like you had said, you find people that you are women that it's weird because like, so let me preference this. So we were over there in 11/12 and Ashley was killed in October of 2011. The combat ban was removed in 2013. So, which actually came out of Ashley's death. Like, for instance, I guess from how this transpired was, there was a panel going on about women in the military, and like, oh, you know that Ashley White was killed with the Rangers, and she's like, the panel was like, oh, not with them, like maybe on the fob, but not with him. And it's like, no, like she was
with them.
out with the ranger, like
Yeah,
out on a raid, like on mission. Like she
yeah.
wasn't typing, you know, like she was out there. And it that's what people like scratching people is like, oh, there are women out there, you know, like
Wasn't there water in the chow hall?
right.
Yeah,
So it's but they're not it's the label, like you're an enabler, you know, so
right.
you're an enabler on target, whatever. So from there, um you know, just discovering that the women are in combat and doing these type of jobs, but also, um, oh goodness, I had a point to this and I just lost my train of thought.
It'll come
Um,
back. Well, good.
bring
It,
me
cha-
back.
it changed the army's narrative to like to remove the ban on combat arms. It was right after
Yes,
that because that was 2013, 14,
yes,
13. Yeah.
yeah. Damn it! I bring me back to what we were talking. This is like my trauma brain happening right now. Um, there was a point to this. Bring me back to the conversation topic we were just at.
Loss of a female comrade was just before that.
It'll come to me.
It's all good.
It'll come to. God damn it! This happened. This isn't my.
Oh, you're
This
not alone. Don't worry. I do it all the
Yeah,
time.
I was like, fuck,
Mid
I
sentence, you're
had a
like,
point to
squirrel.
this. It's not even, it's just like I lose it and I apologize for that. But
Well,
yeah.
I find all
Anyway,
of it just very, very fascinating. And just like, I commend you for doing it, one, because and you had your reasons that you've already discussed. Go ahead.
oh, I came back.
It
Sorry.
came back. Go for it before I go
Yeah,
lose again.
okay. So you're talking about rareness, right?
Right.
So you have like the aspect of like women thinking that they want to do this type of work, right? So you're like, oh, you can go and be in combat, and they're advertising this and marketing it to women. Uh, Women go to Ranger School, women go to SF. We want women to go and do all these things. But the reality of the situation, even right now, like it's 2024. I spoke to somebody in regiment recently that said that there's only 6 women in regiment.
Right.
So, like you had said, talking about the rare personality components that make up this type of individual, being female with the same regard to wanting to jump out of planes and shoot people and do all this crazy shit, is so very small.
Oh yeah.
And that's why I just emphasizing that there was so much push and political agenda into like shaking things up to
Hmm.
like just this whole, you know, mess of shit when it came to like putting women into these positions.
Oh yeah.
When I think the women, instead of marketing it to like this silver shiny gold star that you're going to go do all this cool stuff, just letting it organically evolve,
Yeah. Just
allowing
remove the barrier.
remove the barrier, but let those that are actually wanting, like you like wanting to do that type of work and are capable, not just physically, but like have the personality and the construct to do that, let them gravitate towards those positions instead of
Yeah.
trying to push it, you know.
Yeah.
And that's why I'm like, God, I knew there was a point to this, but I feel like it came from such a mess of how like Ashley's death kind of promoting this whole like removing the ban of women in combat,
Yeah.
and then like making it into something that one like created a narrative of like women are trying to take over and women's rights and all this bullshit. Like, no, just open it, like remove the ban, and what is it
Let it
like?
happen.
Yeah, like
Well,
they
it's
will
interesting.
come.
Those dreams. Yeah, it's very true. But I think there's, you know, men have been allowed to do infantry for a long time, you know, and I was in 83 firefights, and
Uh,
and I can look back at all those as much as my memory can recall, and I journal quite a bit. Yeah, I know I journal,
no, that's great. I
but
am
it's
a thumbs up.
but I can look at that and say in the slow motion playback, right,
Yeah.
of a fight, and realize like, hey, who locked up, and
Mhm.
was I the one that locked up, and there's I'm sure you've seen Saving Private Ryan, right?
Mhm.
In the opening scene, obviously it's freaking insane. But there's a part of the opening scene where Tom Hanks's character is like in that little daze, right? And he's looking around, and there's the dude missing his arm. He's like looking for arms, right? Well, he's just kind of like this, like looking around, just kind of oblivious. So that I lived that exact scene.
Oh my God.
Not the arm part, but like we're in a crazy fight in northern Baghdad, and like crap is coming down from the roofs. I was like, man, we're about to recreate one of the worst things ever in Ranger Regiment. We're not a Ranger. It's like we're living Mogadishu if we're not careful. Our guys from the rooftops, and it's not pretty. And I'm behind this little fence, and rounds are hitting the gate and everything. And I look down this little sidewalk, and there's one of my soldiers, who's been in our unit for about 8 weeks, and he's just standing there, and like rounds are hitting, and he's just like, I'm like, his name was I'll use his name because it's really funny. His name was Greater X, and it's really hard to say when you're in combat. So we all called him Gore-Tex because it's way easier. you know, exactly right, nicknames. And so I'm like, Gore-Tex. And he's like, what? I'm like, get behind something. And he's like, oh yeah, cover. I'm like, swear to God, you know. But like,
Yeah.
it was his first firefight, and he was just like it just the moment kind of got. But after that, he was a stud. He went out to be a freaking ranger and everything, and he's just a beast and a half. But
Thank God,
right. But it was just like that moment of like you. I use him and I use another guy, and he'll kill me because he's on the show. I'm gonna tell the story, and he's gonna be like, "Damn it, not again!" But we were in a semi fight, but a Spectre opened up, right, and dropped a whole bunch of ordnance, and it was awesome. And so we had to go do BDA and survey the ground, and it's not pretty. And well, one of the 40 millimeter rounds came from this guy, went through this dude's head and went through his arm. So it's just there's body, no head, no arm, just specks everywhere. And we're walking up and there's fire everywhere. And I had this brand new guy. Like when I say new, he went to basic training, airborne school, reported to Fort Bragg, had a week of indoctrination, was released on Friday, got to our unit. We're there. We're still there. We haven't deployed yet.
Oh, okay.
He got to us on Monday morning, and we were wheels up on Wednesday. Okay.
Yeah, that's
This fight is the following Thursday.
oh my God.
So like, I mean, this dude like was in high school a few weeks before, you know, and like so the whole flight,
He's still jet lagged.
yeah, and I'm like vomiting like all of our SOPs of how we do tap,
Hmm.
squeeze, how do we go left and right in doors. I mean, I'm just like, dude, I swear to God, don't get me killed, And we got our platoon got 6 of these guys like this, brand spanking new. Right before we left, we're like, what the crap? And anyways, he's one of them. Great dude, love him to death. We're in a group text to this day. It's great, but
Oh, good.
in this fight, and we walk up on this body, and like, dude's dead, right? Ain't got no head. And but I looked at my buddy. His name's Waffle. Literally, his last name's Waffle. And which is like, dude, you picked the wrong MOS. But
Right.
and like I could see in his eyes, like the oh shit factor was getting pretty high. Of like, there's fire everywhere. There's a dude over there that's got like 9 broken bones. There's 3 bodies on the street dead. This dude's got no head, and we're just walking around like, it's really hot. It's in July, in Iraq. And so I got my buddy Chris. I was like, hey Chris, I said Waffle's about to lose it. I was like, we gotta do a EPW search on this guy. He was like, you are effing horrible. Like, I know. So I was like, Waffle, hey, pull security on this guy. So, okay, puts his gun there. I mean, puts his muzzle this far from a head that's not there, you know.
Yes.
And Chris grabs the other shoulders. Like, if he moves, don't hesitate, just pull trigger. He's like, all right. Well, you got him? You got him? He's like, yeah. Dude, he ain't got no head.
He's still going through
Like
like
his brain was not
he's
like
standing in parade
processing.
rest while you're talking to
Yeah,
him,
he was just like, and he's like, that's fucked up, and walked off.
Yeah.
you know, but like it brought him back. That
Hmm.
little bit of moment of like, and I think we all have that.
We
That
have to.
but after that, that moment doesn't ever really
Mhm.
come back. But I think that's as you at the very very beginning talked about the fight or flight or the other F words and stuff of things, and I think there's completely different circumstances of
Yeah.
how the brain, but talking about coming off the helicopter and like go green is like that's the exact moment in a combat situation of like you can buckle and you can be the guy crying on the stairs and saving Private Ryan,
Hmm.
and we'll all just leave you there and come back when we're done, you know, or you can join the thing. And I think the to sum all this up for me at least, and I would love to hear your last thoughts, is the bottom line is just do your freaking job. And if you
Yeah.
can do your job and not be the liability, I don't care. And I speak for most people. I don't care if you're a guy, girl, a guy who thinks is a girl, a girl thinks is a guy. I care less. Is pick up the weapon and do the job. And I think that's the part that doesn't get said from those that are on the ground is that's what we care about is just grab the weapon and shoot. And all the other stuff is way above all of our pay grade.
Hmm.
And people make really weird decisions and some of them we don't agree with at times, but it's like at the end of the day, just do your job. And I don't care if you're a truck driver, just do you drive the truck? Are you a liability? Do you put it in reverse and don't use the mirrors? Well, that's a liability. So
Right.
I think the premise of that is at the end of the day for everybody is that. And but that's my summary. I'll take your last thoughts.
No, I think that's so true. As you, like I had said before, is that you can say all day, you know, oh, I could handle this. Like they could shoot me all day and I'll just matrix my way out of it, But at the end of the day, like when you're in it is when the truth comes out.
Yeah.
And and coming out of that one mission I had said about how like my legs like buckled and gelled and everything, and I remember sharing that with I was still working with that CAG troop then. I was on that mission was with regiment. But they coming back and sharing that, and one of the guys had said he's like You'd be surprised. Like people go out there and they piss themselves and they
Oh
they
yeah.
vomit or they like you said they freeze and they stand there. They don't know what's going on. But I think you know, like I said before, like I come from a preventative model, but normally the what in hindsight, looking like yeah, like you talk to people about like the possibility of you freezing and fight, flight, or whatever. People that can just navigate through that from their own experiences, and like how you had said too, like once you experience it, there's that point where you, however you experienced it, it's just like that one time, one
Yeah.
or two times of you kind of like getting initiated, right?
Yeah.
So, but I think for my thought process on it is that I think there comes a level of compassion and understanding that our life experience has prepared us for those moments, whether we are prepared or not.
Yeah.
And at the end of the day, when you find somebody who isn't, like you had said, somebody who frees, like your friend who had and stood there and had like bullets flying around him,
Yeah.
at that moment looking at him, you'd be like, this guy's a fucking liability,
Yeah.
like I can't have this happen. But then going back all the way to like removing the military, removing everything that we're conditioned to do, going back to like our basic like human principles of like connection, I think coming from that experience and giving that person an opportunity to move through it and kind of debrief themselves and
Yeah.
offering them grace because there's shame associated with that.
Oh,
Like I have
oh
heavy
yeah.
shame turning into jello legs and
Oh
talking
yeah.
about it and then finally moving out. But I think coming back when you're in like a safe environment with your guys and gals, like your group, and being able to navigate through that response and in a safe and like understanding environment, which is like I know it sounds like fluff, but it's true. Like
It's the truth.
the human connection that we need to
Yeah.
move through that and build resiliency
To laugh at
is from
ourselves.
is from understanding it and at the end of the day like love and compassion.
Yeah.
And I think that that's like as much as I can put all the tools in place and all the practices in place on how to create prevention. Like, yeah, you need to run all these infantry guys through that obstacle course so that they know how to like go green. That's not reality, right?
Yeah.
Like the reality of it is like use the tools that we were born with,
Yeah.
which is innate connection and love and humor.
Yeah. Oh,
Like
humor
man,
is the
you
ultimate.
fucking folded out there like you're
Yeah.
lucky you didn't get your brains blown
Oh,
out,
it's
but it,
nonstop. I think that's the greatest tool there is. And like, I mentioned we
yeah,
have a group. There's 17 of us in this group text, and then it's been going on for 15 years now,
that's
and
incredible.
it is not G rated.
No,
you
absolutely
know
not.
but it's our safe place, right? But like, and like we still live in these stories of the other days, the other years, yesterday years, whatever the term is, but like the mistakes of then like are never ending, like
Yeah.
anytime. So we had one dude he stepped on a power line that was after a fight. Hot wire,
Yeah.
hot wire, hot wire,
Oh God.
and we
Yeah.
we kicked him off of it. That dude cannot talk to this day. If he puts a
Oh.
message in that group, the amount of Raiden gifts that come back is just never ending. He's just like, guys, swear to God, it was 18 years ago. We're like, still funny,
It's
dude.
still, yeah.
It's like, I just want to know what kind of freaking milk y'all use in your coffee. And we're like, Raiden wants coffee, you
Oh my
know?
God. Yeah.
So, but it's funny. It's like we all watched him like literally get electrocuted, and we're like, do you like naturally just turn left from now on? How's that work? Is your leg? And he's like, so
Just give me a minute. I just need a minute of peace. I think, but that's a form of connection and love,
oh yeah,
And that's like one of the things that I'm really starting to realize through my own practice, like in therapy. I, like my goal was to become a therapist and
yeah,
and I've been really jaded by it because and I just had this realization, surprisingly enough, is that just through like my own experiences and continuing training and education and listening to other people's testimony is that like we as a society, and it blows my mind because the answers have been there all the time and we talk about it all the time. Like coming out of the military, one of the biggest proponents of like people killing themselves or having mental health issues is is isolation,
Yeah.
right? Like I think it's awesome. And I love this so much, like that you have a group text of 18 dudes from the past 15 years. Like that is more therapy, that is more healing than you going into a one-on-one session with a therapist.
Oh gosh, yeah.
And I have this like this epiphany, I guess you could say, is that I just recently learned this term, which I think is just really profound, is like in the westernized therapy, which absolutely like therapy is good. I in the right context, in the right tools, with the right therapist, there's a lot of healing that can take place on an individual level. But at the end of the day, it shouldn't be an individual level. And
Mhm.
that's the proponent that's missing in healing is the community and the decolonization of therapy is one of the issues of why I am reluctant to go into practice
Mhm.
because I feel that yes, I can offer you, my client or whoever, these tools, but at the end of the day, if you are having to navigate these tools in a world that is exasperating your symptoms to begin with, I'm it's not going to work. It's
Yeah.
not going to work. You know, and I guarantee some of your friends that are in this text group have been to therapy
Yeah.
and possibly have come back to the text and be like, this fucking therapist said
You will not
this, and
believe.
this. Yeah, said this, and this, and gave me these
You told me
tools.
to
And I
put
think,
sticky notes on the refrigerator and remind
right.
myself I have value.
Yeah, stand in a
Right.
Superman pose and say, you are beautiful. You know, like we're,
What's what's the old SNL skit of the mirror with Michael Jordan? You're beautiful. You're wonderful.
yeah,
um
yeah, like I can
the
see
guy
it.
the guy that died, Hartman, that used to, oh my gosh. Sorry, I'm older, so
Oh
I
yeah, no. I'm like tracking onto that too because I can see what you're talking about. But no, like, but that's the thing is like, yeah, you're given all these tools, but if you're not in an environment that is affirming and holding you accountable, because
right.
at the end of the day, like we are coming to this place of wanting healing, and there's there's a lot that goes into even taking the steps to go and do that,
Yeah.
right? So there's going to be a lot of like one step forward, five steps back. But if you are in community of people who can affirm that and acknowledge that and keep you accountable,
Yeah.
then you're going to have growth,
Yeah.
right? There's going to be growth. And I like even from my own like I've been in therapy, tons of different types of therapies over the past 10 years. And
Yeah.
I feel like just recently with like the work that I'm doing in like the psychedelic space and learning the techniques that they're using as far as like putting creating community and fostering a space of love and connection during these, and it's not, you don't even have to use like the drug to promote this healing, but just like the biological components of like safety and connection is what is bringing healing.
Yeah.
And I feel like that's the most obvious thing. Like you said, like so many nonprofits and all these organizations are like, we'll send you to the mountains and you can connect with all
Yeah.
these guys and gals and da da da. But yeah, you give them like this sense of like community and connection, and then you drop kick them right back into their environment.
Yeah.
And
I have a theory on sorry, I didn't mean to cut you off.
no, I would love to
Um
hear it. I'm all
so my theory, and I haven't taken any psychology classes other than marketing stuff, is the military specifically, you're taught to deal with a lot of things. Like you're taught how to deal with overcoming adversity and how to, be hungry or be tired. And, and there's a lot of like physical-ish things we've taught to overcome. And then there's, one of the things you hear in therapy-ish world is, how do you feel? What do you feel? I feel happy, sad, blah, blah, blah. And you're taught how to use the positive emotions and how to like overcome negative emotions, right? Like, okay, well, this makes me feel very angry. Okay, well, let's just dive into anger, blah, 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 right? But I think of all of those, the one thing that isn't addressed and that's in the professional world. I've been in some therapy in my day, but also I think specifically in the military is the one emotion that soldiers cannot deal with is the feeling of helpless. It does not correlate, and I don't apply emotions here to you, but when Ashley died, that emotion crossed through. You felt helpless. When my friends died, it's I watched it happen. I mean, I could not leave my position to go 600 meters over where I could see just this torment of black smoke and knowing hell was coming down on my friends. But I couldn't leave my position because it was guarding a bridge, you know, and the feeling of helpless is the worst thing in the world. You can't do anything. And I think that emotion follows us forever. And if you can't find a way to deal with that emotion, it will get the best of you. I think I personally feel that's where veteran suicide starts. Is and it doesn't have to be traumatic helplessness. It can be, a rape or losing a friend or in a firefight and whatever. It can literally be very, very minuscule of helpless. Like I got out, I couldn't get a job, I felt helpless, and I have this career of awesomeness. And like my friend that took his life, I'm like, dude, you were a stud. Like, what the crap? You know, I mean, the general in 2015 was pinned 3-star and killed himself that night in his garage. Was going to be
Yeah, it doesn't
commander,
matter.
was going to be the commander of Army Space Command before Space Command became a thing. I'm like, literally was taking command the next day and hung himself in his garage. I'm like, it's like the world's your oyster. You just, and you would think. So I was like, there's a feeling that took place there. And I knew that guy's why I always bring him up because I was in a room with
It's
him.
heartbreaking.
Well, he chewed out my commander for one of our guys committing suicide. Like, you're a horrible person. I'm like, then he went and did it 2 years later. I was like, I really bothered me, and looking at it, it's like you're having your demons then. And so I've always thought that because I know how I felt. It's like that's
Mhm.
the when I feel that emotion is when I am probably my most angry if
I
I
think,
have anger.
yeah, no, I resonate with that a lot. Most of the things that come up with when I start to spiral, because I cycle through heavy depression periods, and that feeling of helplessness, and
Mhm.
it grows into incompetence. You're a
Mhm.
loser, you're a piece of shit.
Right.
Nobody
You hate
is going to
yourself.
stick around. Yeah, it's just a cycle. And I have found that it's 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 easier said than done,
Hmm.
absolutely. Um, but if you can acknowledge that feeling and give yourself a moment like to sit in it,
Hmm.
because
Embrace.
people don't want to sit in it. They don't, they feed it. They absolutely feed it, and they get involved in it, but they can't sit beside it and really just take it for what that feeling is. And then when you find yourself in a space where you can, where if you are in a space of awareness, I say, and are in a place to do this, look into that helplessness. Where what else is coming up for you? Where in your body are you feeling this helplessness?
Hmm.
And then breaking it apart to where it can trail all the way back to, like, there can be so many things that align with that helplessness, where you can say, this is a feeling that I it brings me back to the time where I couldn't leave my post and I
Yeah.
saw my friends die,
Right.
and then unravel that as well, and giving that acknowledgement. I think that's one of the hardest things that we in this community, is that we don't want to face the absolute truth. Like, we can see
Hmm.
what is in front of us. I feel like a piece of shit. I'm a piece of shit. Well,
Yeah.
no, that expands to feelings of helplessness and anger, and I think people should give themselves permission to acknowledge how they really feel about things.
Yeah.
You think you always go into, like, you have to have this specific dialogue, this script that you're supposed to follow as far as how you're supposed to feel and do things. And yes, we're going to find ourselves falling short, in life, but taking it at that moment and just kind of sitting with it. And like you said, like offering yourself grace, which is very difficult for us,
Oh yeah.
but going all the way back to the we don't have to do this by ourselves.
Yeah.
There's that acknowledgement of you can come to terms with what you're seeing in yourself when you look in the mirror and you see like helplessness and you're a piece of shit and you should have done this, and there's all of these things tied to that. But even if you don't want to share all of the what's going on with you in that defining moment, just getting in a space of community
Oh yeah.
can will allow you to move
Yeah.
through that time.
Isolation is the worst thing. It's the worst
Yes.
thing. Yeah,
Well, that's
absolutely.
why they put prisoners in isolation, because it
Yeah,
is the worst thing.
it is.
And I like there's like the suicidal ideation, and I have a family and I have a very small community, and I feel like it's not emphasized enough that, and I think we need to take responsibility and do our own due diligence as far as like keeping a hold of our community and
Hmm.
keeping it close, because it's so easy to go and like
Just
network
share.
with all these different groups, right?
It's to share with them though.
Yes.
I think, my friend I told you that before I hit record, that took his life, is his parents knew none of those stories. None of them. They didn't know half of our names. Never
Yeah.
heard them. It's like, how do you go off? You've been out for 10 years. How many people have you told, oh, this guy named Johnson, or this guy named Smith, or whatever, this girl Ashley? Like, you tell these stories of like, oh, it's so funny they tripped on this one day doing PT and we all laughed, or whatever,
Yep.
and they didn't know hardly any of these stories. And it's like, that's tragic that
It
he
is.
couldn't share the time we had KFC delivered to us in the woods during the field problem, which is hilarious,
That's
or
amazing.
yeah, this we texted a 8-digit grid to our PL's wife, and she dropped off KFC. True story.
Oh, that's awesome.
you know,
That's the best.
and how we jumped into a hurricane, because that's a fun time, because they were not going to scratch the jump, all these crazy things, right? And but the craziest stories, they're just fun. Being a toe jumper sucks, and
And that's the thing about this, as well as like you find yourself, he may have alluded to some of these experiences,
yeah,
but there's this disconnect because they're not in the environment, they're not
yeah,
in the culture, they're not in the demographic, that they
the
just don't
civilian military
understand.
disconnect.
Yeah, the capacity of it. Like
Yeah,
this is the first time I've ever met you, Travis, and I feel
yeah,
like I've known you my whole life.
yeah,
Like I feel like we have a common language, we have a common,
yeah,
there is an energy that's flowing between us that I
yeah.
feel like
It's fun.
it's a common
Oh yeah,
we find this in that community. and
yeah,
and I think that's where I said like we have a, for our own health and wellness, and just, like we deserve to be here. At the end of the day, like I same, like I have intense grief and, you know, survivor's guilt as far as the circumstances around Ashley, and it fucking sucks, man. It
it
sucks
does.
all the time, especially with how things have transpired with the war and everything, political notions aside. But
That's a whole nother episode.
like we're here, right?
Yeah,
Like we're here and we deserve to be here, and we deserve love and connection and support, and it's there. Like there's so many of us out there, right? And
yeah,
like that's why I feel like I'm not gonna lie, like I was very anxious about coming on.
yeah.
I feel like this anytime, like I it's just a, like I had to do my breathing exercise. Like it's silliness, but
Hey,
it's where we're
we're all
at,
prepped
right?
differently. Yeah,
But now, like coming and talking to you, like it's just, I guess it's been very therapeutic for me, because it's
yeah.
like where
That's why I
the
exist.
and I appreciate that. I appreciate what you're doing as far as putting this out there to the world and connecting with these people, connecting with fellow veterans, and sharing these stories, because anybody who listens to these stories that is a part of our community will feel this connection.
Yeah,
Will feel, even if you can't find your community in a moment of despair, you are offering this outlet of listening in to like that's relative,
yeah,
And if I could speak to anybody like right now, that just like it will pass.
Yeah.
It's painful, but it will pass. And here's the thing, it's probably going to come back again.
Yeah.
So prepare yourself, but that will pass too.
What's the phrase?
So,
This too shall pass. Is it?
yes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's great. Well, I think that's a great earmark because I think we're an hour and a half into this, which is great. I may have to
Yeah.
break this into 2 episodes. No, this is fantastic.
I told you I
Uh,
was a chatty Cathy.
no, it's your name also. So, but
Yeah, right.
so, but I'll definitely have to come back and have you on again because I think there's some great content here to share and definitely do a round two because I think there's a lot of things that people as you continue your schooling we can definitely dive into. So, but let's wrap it up there and
Yeah.
call it a day. And it's lunchtime for me, so I got to eat.
Yeah, I know. I can't believe it's already
So,
one.
but but thanks so much for taking the time. And if you're new to the show, first time listener, or a long time, it doesn't matter. Just please subscribe and turn some notifications on so you can hear great content like Kat's and her stories and others out there. And we'll see you on the next episode.